This is John Young with DJN TV. This is our Sunday night mailbag, for lack of a better way to describe it, where we answer some of the questions that came in this past week. We've had a few questions come in, some of which have been repeat, and some of we're going to elaborate a little bit more on. But I've got three I'm going to do tonight, because I don't want to take up too much time tonight, because everyone is still kind of buzzing about football games today. First off, and again, if you want to send questions to me, you can send it. You can email at john@discjockeynews.com. You can go to one of our Facebook pages and message us. Don't put them in the comments unless I, put a post up saying, please, ask questions. Otherwise, send a message. That way, sometimes people don't want to have their names on the stuff. So go ahead and do that. Feel free to do that. Otherwise, send an email, john@discjockeynews.com, and we'll get your questions answered. First off. One of the things we've been talking about the last couple of days and such online, we've been talking about Facebook an awful lot. As you all know, if you're into Facebook at all, they change like it seems weekly. If you saw the video with Alex Taylor, in that he talked about where Facebook literally they change often, but they're rolling out features and they're rolling out capabilities, and it doesn't happen all at the same time. Kind of like if you update your website, it's pretty much instantaneous once you're done. And everyone will see that new picture you put up, what have you, if they clear their cache. Facebook doesn't work that way. They will change things, such as when the new format comes out and all of a sudden you hear your friends complaining about it, but you still have got the old one. That's kind of how it works. So some of the information and such that we're talking about, truthfully, today it might work, and it might work for me tomorrow, but it might be because yours has already changed for some reason. It doesn't work for you. So that kind of sucks. But anyway, they were talking about Facebook, and specifically one of the questions that came in was, if I've got a blog, how do I, what do I connect the two? Do I do what? How does that happen? Well, if you do have a blog, and I'm not an expert on blogs by any means, but I've done quite a bit with WordPress, and there are some really cool plugins with WordPress. If you're doing WordPress, in our example, we have WordPress on our websites that is hooked up through GoDaddy and that whole thing. If you've got their web hosting. And they have this thing called Jetpack, which will allow us to post. We put a post on our website, and it'll actually go and post it to our social media, which is kind of a cool thing. But you've got to be careful in how you're sending your information from your websites to your social media pages, because sometimes if you're doing it with the wrong type of plugins, well, there's where the Facebook changes can catch you. A year ago, if we'd have been having this discussion, there were some plugins that I loved that worked well from our blog, our website blog, that would push content out to our social media pages. And we had a really neat little process going. 6 months ago, it changed. We had to tweak it. 9 months ago, it changed. We had to tweak it. 2 months, probably about 6 weeks ago, it changed completely. And all the things the things I was so proud of in the summer were dead. They wouldn't work anymore. So you've got to be careful, and it's not a one-time you fix it and it's done. It's going to be working and learning and doing some different things. But there are some great plugins, and you need to do a little research with that. When you go and you're into WordPress, you can do a search for plugins, and you can see some ratings on those. Spend a little time looking at the ratings on those plugins before you just go and willy-nilly install. Because occasionally some of those plugins, there are some out there, some people are putting in some bad crap into those plugins just to really mess up your website. So there are plugins. There are different things out there that allow you to, say if you have a lot of content on say you're doing a lot of advice for brides on your website, that there are plugins that will allow you to take one of those old posts that you put up, say 3 months ago, and it will repost it as new content. You can do that where you have your timeless content. Say you have your timeless content as one of your categories on your website, and then you have your more timely content, the ones that's talking about December wedding. Well, you're not going to talk about a December wedding in June, but say we have our timeless content, we have our more time-specific content here. What you can do is have it so it only looks at your timeless content and repost those on a regular basis. Maybe once a day it'll take one of these old ones and repost it, all automatic. And what's really kind of cool about that is that will help put things to the top of your blog with the proper plugins. Then that will push it out to your social media. So that's kind of cool. There's also some different plugins out there that will just randomly take some posts from your older content, again from categories that you've defined, and put that out there and share that on your social media. So there's a lot of cool things out there. But the biggest thing whenever you're talking about your business pages, whether it's Facebook, a blog, with these things, you need to have quality content. If you don't have quality content, if you're wanting to attract brides, you need to be getting information, putting it together, and you're putting it together from a bride's perspective. So it's something that she wants. It'll give her value for spending a little time watching, listening, and again, or just reviewing, which of course, if you're going to do something in this day and age, you need to be doing video. Video is the king. You got to think about the people, the 16-year-olds who today or the 50, they've been, they grew up with their phone in their hand, and they've been, when they want to know something, they go to YouTube. So you got to be aware of that. You may, start today, as I've talked about in some of my other videos, start today getting that content together so you'll be ready for 2015, truthfully. That's where we're at. So anyway, that's a little bit of talking about the blog and getting it to social media. Another one here. Again, we're only doing 3 tonight. This is going to be just a quick video, probably about 10 minutes. The next one is the type of speakers. A lot of people have heard me talk about Electro Voice. They've heard me talk about Yamaha, Dawn Pro Audio. We've had Fender on recently, and they're like, what's the best out there? Well, I'd love to be able to say any one of those or all of whatever, anything is the best, but as we all know, it doesn't happen that way. You've got to have some criteria when you're looking at speakers. Looking at warranty, looking at the quality of construction, the companies that are going to stand behind the speakers. Those are all really important. Sound quality. Now, I know people say buy speakers based on sound quality. I'd love to say that that's a great idea for everybody, but let's face it, some of us have been in this for 20 years. My hearing isn't what it was 20 years ago. So, truthfully, I'm going to want speakers in my world that, they may not sound as good to other people, but I want a speaker that my microphone can come through very strong. I want a warm sound, and I want to be able to have some power in case I need to thump a little bit with the teenage crowd. Not everyone's going to be like that. Now you've seen some of my videos. I've used the Bose L series, the L1 series. I've had some of those out there in the field. I've had the Dawn Pro Audio. That's a different type of sound. Now if I would be measuring those based on the ability to just push and hammer, I wouldn't be happy with them. But for the right application, those are fabulous speakers. So it really depends again on your application. I've had guys from literally around the world. They're asking, hey, I've got these tops. I've got a 12-inch two-way top, and what sub should I have below it? No problem. Let's ask the important question. What type of events are you going to do with your speakers? If you're doing high school dances, probably you're going to need multiple 18-inch subs if you're doing larger crowds. If you're doing weddings, 12-inch two-way, 2 of those on top, you could get away with a single 18. You could get away with maybe a single 15, or maybe even, truthfully, depending upon your area, maybe even a single 12 or 2 12s. It doesn't really matter to some extent, because really, when it comes to sound, as long as the microphones, music isn't hurting their ears, and the microphones sound warm and are, you can hear what they're saying. Yeah, that's it. That's what the guests really care about. Some of them will say, "Oh, I want more bass." Well, you know what? That's about this many people. And you'll find more people who will say, instead of the bass side of it, they'll actually congratulate you for not having so much bass, because, oh, I went to a wedding last week and it was so boomy. Or it was so loud. Well, again, people perceive loud on the bass 9 chances out of 10. So when you have older folks saying that, oh, it was so loud, it's probably because the bass, they probably had that EQ with a big swing up on the low end, or they had some big subs that were overpowering their tops. That happens a lot of times. I've seen DJs do this time and time again. Was their system really loud? Probably not any louder than, maybe when I'm in the same venue. But if their bass and things weren't set up properly, and the old people are hearing that coming through in their ears, because they have lost some of that top end, they're hearing that bass is muddy, making everything muddy. Conversation stops. They now deem you as a loud DJ. That's not cool. So get the right subs for your application. That's probably the biggest thing. If you're going to be, sometimes you want that dispersion from some of the more line array. Sometimes you're going to want a little more horsepower. But, buy what you need for your application. Don't buy what you want to have to impress yourself all the time. So, okay, final thing. And this one's kind of a biggie here. I had a question about training resources. As you all know, we've got the Disc Jockey News. And you're seeing this probably from the Disc Jockey News side. But we also launched the Disc Jockey News TV side. The Disc Jockey News TV website, djntv.com. That's a site basically dedicated to educational content. But it's for educational content where you can go in, watch a couple of videos, learn something, and continue on. Say I've got some downtime, I'm waiting for my son at piano. I can pull out my cell phone, go to the website, and I can watch a couple of videos and say, hey, wow, look at there. That was a really neat idea. that's what DJ NTV is all about. And at the top, there's our bigger videos, our half-hour interviews or what have you. But beyond that, where are you going to find content that is coming from people that are really, how does that work? That's a tough one. Well, in the DJ industry, now I'm not going to talk about the guys who are beat mixing, because you know what, beat mixing stuff is a skill that I don't have, I don't know enough about, and for me to talk to you about it would be a waste of your and my time. We're going to just talk about in the wedding area, in the mobile DJ area with that. There's some guys out there who are doing a fabulous job of teaching this, and they're doing seminars around the country. Bill Herman and Jason Jones, you've seen them on video with me a few times. They're with the entertainment experience. They are doing their shows literally around the world. They're in Australia right now doing one of their entertainment experience events. Great content there for the wedding person who's going to be planning and doing emceeing and really helping to coordinate and make the event happen. You've got Peter Mary with I can't remember what it's called. Peter Mary in. We'll have to cut this out. Then you've got for another avenue for another out there for educational content right now is Mark Farrell. If you guys have heard of Mark Farrell and Rebecca are going around the country and to some extent the world doing training for people who are doing emceeing and speaking and public speaking. They've got a really neat intensive program that they're doing, something to definitely check out. That's another source, but these aren't beginner level courses. What Mark and Rebecca are doing, basically, they have some more beginner level, but they're really taking the people who have some skills in the world of MC and speaking in front of a crowd. Someone who's got some Toastmaster skills in them and taking them to a higher level. Granted, you can come in there green, as a lot of us did, and Mark is a great teacher, and he'll take you along and make you a better MC and a better presenter in front of a group. So that's definitely something. So Mark Farrell's one. The professional process from Peter Mary. If you haven't seen Peter Mary at a seminar or what have you, go online, you'll find some information about him. But Peter Mary has got a really neat program talking about the wedding area and how the professional process can help you to have better events and to be able to sell for a lot more dollars. So that's another one out there. There's others that are doing some smaller training, like at the Mobile Beat here coming up in a couple of weeks. There's going to be some off to the side, like Randy Bartlett has some training. Randy Bartlett has a set of DVDs out there, the 1% Solution DVDs. If you haven't checked those out, really that's something you need to do. It's a fabulous tool. I've got those, I've used those, and in my performances, it has made a huge difference. So that's another resource. But again, Randy speaks at different conventions. He'll be at Mobile Beat doing some things. I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. But you have different people that have written books. Larry Williams has written a book. Josh Yan, who you just saw with me a couple of days ago, he's got a book out. Scott Favor. If you're looking for game show ideas, Scott Favor has got some different DVDs out showing you how to do a lot of games that DJs do at events, which, a lot of those you can't do at a wedding. But boy, you take one or two ideas, and that could be a gold mine for referrals from one of those ideas. Speaking of games, Robbie Britton's got a disc out, and I believe Robbie's going to be, is he going to be Anyway, Robbie's going to be at one of the upcoming shows, and he's going to be doing his 50 games in 60 minutes thing. But Robbie's got a neat DVD out that has a lot of games, different games than some of what Scott has on his, but just some fun things. You can use some inexpensive props, but that's another resource. And again, any of these guys, if you literally just type in their names with some of the things I've talked about, you'll be able to find them online. Gosh, there's just so many of them. And when I'm at Mobile Beat with the show, we're going to go to the table where they've got all the books and such, and we'll spend a little time finishing this part of the video as far as, I'll continue it on to show you some of the resources. But there's a lot of educational material out there, a lot of seminars you can take around the country, and I know I'm missing a lot of them. As a matter of fact, coming up here in March, there's going to be a multi-system operator little course going on down. Mike Walter and Joe Bunn are going to be putting that on. It's going to be March 10th and 11th or something like that. I'm not exactly sure the dates on that because they've had to do some changing, but it's going to be a fabulous event from two guys who are very successful multi-system operators. again, content there. And these guys have also, Mike's got a training DVD out there for training your staff. Books, yeah, a lot of great information. So as this comes through, share if there's something I missed, which there is. Share it in the description below. You won't be able to put a link in there, unfortunately, because YouTube doesn't allow that. But you could always do the putting it in there and then put the DOT and then space com, and that'll give us the idea of it. And then I'll put those links in the description up above so that we can have a resource and a spot for getting all this these links out there for this educational content. So that's it. Just a quick video tonight with 3 questions: type of speakers, blog and website and Facebook, how that all goes together, and a little bit on training. So have a great week. We'll be back a couple of times this week in the evening, a couple of live shows coming up, and then we're getting ready for NAMM. That's just around the corner. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Have a good night.